Good day, everyone. This is Steve Anderson from the Total Patient Service Institute and Crown Council. Welcome to our webinar today, 3 Ways Successful Practices Use Facebook to Attract New Patients. You are in listen-only mode. That means you should be able to hear me loud and clear. We cannot hear you. That's in order to minimize the background noise so that everybody can hear loud and clear today. If you have any technical difficulties or have any questions about the operation or audio or video presentation, you're welcome to just submit a question, and our team will be able to help you during the webinar if you have any technical difficulties. So with that, let me give you a little bit of context and background today. So that you understand where all this information is coming from and its context and how it fits in the overall scheme of things in your practice. We're going to move on to the next slide. Let me introduce you to a concept here, just so you know the context of who you're hearing from. About a year and a half ago, the Crown Council, which is an organization of some of the leading practices around the country, that are committed to creating a culture of success in their practice, along with the work we do at the Total Patient Service Institute, which is improving practice production and patient service case acceptance skills, along with the team at My Social Practice, which is committed to helping practices promote what they do through social media. We got together to address one of the most common questions that we all get from practices on a regular basis, which is, what is the latest and most up-to-date things that are working to create new patients? In the digital age today, there are a lot of different things that are components of that. Everything from social media to online reviews to the content on your website to how your search engine optimization is done, all the non-digital aspects of marketing, email marketing, and things you do in your practice. There's a lot of pieces to that puzzle. And so a year ago, we put together the first conference of its type to address what's working currently in each of those areas and what is the latest development. That conference will happen again April 29th through 30th in Dallas, Texas. At the end of this webinar, I'll give you a special code that you can use for that conference. We'll tell you a little bit more about it. What we will deal with today in this webinar is one of the most popular topics that we deal with in that conference, which is social media, and in specific, how do you use Facebook as one of many social media outlets to generate new patients? We all know that it's a great tool to manage a community and get word out about your practice, but how do you use it specifically to generate new patients? And we'll talk about 3 of those ways today. And again, that is part of a bigger puzzle that we address in a longer format, and we'll tell you more about that at the end of the webinar. Let me introduce you to Jack Hadley. Jack is a principal with My Social Practice, which is a leading firm of its type helping dental practices promote their practice through social media. Jack is also a social media marketing professor at the business school at Brigham Young University, and as I mentioned, he is a founding partner of My Social Practice, which is a leader in helping dental practices use social media to build and grow their practice. So his task today, we have specifically tasked him with how do you specifically use Facebook to generate new patients. Jack, welcome.
Thank you, Steve. And the audio is good? You can hear me good? Is that correct?
You're loud and clear.
All right, great. We're very, very excited to be invited to participate in this today. I love talking about social media, and I love talking specifically about Facebook. Very excited that I believe over 1,000 of you have registered for this webinar today. It's very exciting, and I know the interest level is very high in making Facebook a productive tool in your social media marketing arsenal. So I'm looking forward to this, and thank you for inviting me again. One thing that I wanted to do just to get started is, about 7 years ago when we started My Social Practice, it's interesting the kinds of questions that we got about Facebook. And for the most part, they were revolved around the what. In other words, what is Facebook? What on earth would a business do with Facebook? People were just starting to figure out what Facebook is. And it wasn't even being used at all in any marketing, but it was simply something your teenage son or daughter used. And so I got a lot of questions, as did my partners here at My Social Practice, about what on earth is this thing? About 3 years ago, the questions started to really shift. They were more about the why. So I often heard, why on earth would anybody like their dentist on Facebook? Doesn't make any sense to us. I don't get that. And then today, the questions have even evolved in a different way. They're more about the how. And the questions I hear most are things like, how do we get people engaged in our Facebook page? How do we actually convert people we're engaging with into new patients? How do we know what to post? How do we stay consistent? So that the questions about what it is or why we ought to do it, I don't hear them nearly as much anymore. And it's just because so many practices are on board and realizing the importance of this platform. So what I want to do today is really dive quickly into the how. And we've got, a dozen at least, really great ideas. The purpose of today is to really arm you with some great ideas and tips that you can use immediately to generate new business and to attract new patients to your practice. So we're not going to get philosophical today at all. We're not going to talk about the what and the why. We're going to drill down real quickly into the how. To get started, though, we all come from different places. Some of your practices have been using Facebook for a long time. I know some of you are very new to it. So what I do want to do is take a couple of minutes before we dive into those 3 ways and have my partner Blake explain a couple of basic things that you need to make sure you're doing when you have your page set up. In fact, there's 6 specific items that Blake is going to run us through real quick. And even if you think that everything is good with your page, like you've had it for a long time, get a pencil and paper out and make sure that these 6 items are in place in order for the other tactics to really work well. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Blake here for a couple of minutes.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Like you mentioned, I'm going to run through 6 things that you need to make sure your Facebook page has before you get started with any sort of strategy. So the number 1 thing is you need to complete your About page. If you're an administrator of your page, go to the About tab. You'll see circled here in red, and you'll want to fill out all the information on that tab that you can. When you hover over each section, a little edit button will show up. Make sure that your address is correct. Make sure you have your hours in there, that you have a short description, a long description of your practice, the services that you offer. The more that you can put in there, the better. It's really good for search as people are trying to find your page. You want to make sure that this profile is filled out. Make sure that your website is on there as well so that people can link directly to your website from Facebook. Having the address correct is very important because when people come into your practice with their phone, they're allowed to check in to your practice. You'll see at the very top of the Facebook app there's a check-in button. When they click the check-in button, it will automatically search the addresses that are close by. And if your address is not correct, it will not show up in this section. You'll see here that Hammond Aesthetic and Family Dentistry shows up top in our area so that people can check in there. Okay, number 2, you'll want to verify your page. A lot of practices do not know about this. If you go to your Facebook page, right next to your name, there'll be a little checkbox. If that checkbox is not there, your page is not verified. So what you'll want to do is go to the settings at the top of your page. And in the settings, there's a section called Page Verification. You'll see on this one, it says Page is not verified. To verify your page, simply go there and put in your phone number of your practice, and it will automatically call your practice, and it's a recording that will give you I think it's a 4-digit code that you can then put into Facebook to verify. If you don't choose this option to call, you can verify the page with official documents of your business. You can submit those documents. This basically tells Facebook that this is a legitimate page from your business. Now, the reason this is so important, this is from Facebook, actual quote from Facebook. It says, when you verify your page, it will have a verified badge and show up higher in search results to help attract more visitors. Verifying your account will make it easier for people to connect with you. When you verify your account with a valid ID, you'll appear more frequently in the people to follow list. So this is a very important step to take. Okay, number 3, you're going to want to turn on your notifications. So in that same settings panel, you'll see on the fourth step down is notifications. If you click on that, it'll give you some options, how you want to be notified when people interact with your page. So you can have Facebook notifications, you can have them send you a message, an email, or a text message. This is really important so that you can respond to people that are interacting with your page. If someone checks in, you're going to want to thank them for checking into your practice. Or if anybody comments on a post, you'll want to respond to those comments. It's very important to be on top of all the interaction with your page. Okay, number 4, activate your call to action button. This is a fairly new feature to Facebook. They've allowed a call to action button right at the very top of your page. You'll see circled here, it says call now. If you click that option, you can change the settings of what that says. So here are some of the options that it gives you. You can call now. You can actually have it send you a direct message. You can have it someone can send you an email from that button. You can choose what you want that to say. Now this is really important because, again, on the mobile app, which most people will be using, that call to action is at the very top, right underneath your cover photo. If they're on their phone and you have the call now option chosen, they can click on that and it will automatically call your practice from their phone. Okay, number 5, you're going to want to ask for Facebook reviews. Many of you have probably seen that you have a reviews option and a tab on your page. You'll see here, this is Smile Spot Dentistry. This is one of our clients. They have 131 reviews on Facebook with 4.9 out of 5 stars. Again, this is very important to have Facebook reviews because they show up right on the mobile app. They show up above your feed, above your timeline feed. It's really important that you get those reviews. When people find your page on the mobile app, they'll see those very first. A couple other reasons to get Facebook reviews. Social Media Examiner, a prominent blog of social media, says the ability to influence Facebook's algorithm is a major benefit to maintaining Facebook star ratings on your page. There's also the increased integrity and credibility that comes with brand transparency. So Facebook has an algorithm of which pages it shows higher in the newsfeed and in the search. If your page has more reviews and higher star reviews, it will actually show your page up higher in search and in the newsfeed. Prominent SEO expert Mike Blumenthal said this: "My research clearly indicates that Facebook has become a strong contender as a favorite among users as a place to leave local reviews. In fact, consumers expressed as much or more likelihood of using Facebook than Yelp for leaving reviews. And this was particularly true among women, with almost 1/3 of them indicating that Facebook was their preferred review site." So Facebook is becoming a larger, Google and Yelp we always hear about, which are very, very important to get reviews, but Facebook is also becoming a very important place to gather reviews. We have, My Social Practice has a product that helps gather Facebook reviews, and you can ask us about that afterwards. And last, number 6, have a great profile and cover image. This is the first impression when people come to your page. They see a photo of your practice or a great professional photo at the top. And also make sure that your logo is in, a logo or a photo of your dentist is in the profile photo section. Just to help you out a little bit, here are the dimensions of an optimal cover image and profile photo so that it will fit in that space. It's 851 pixels by 315 pixels for the cover photo, and at least 180 pixels by 180 pixels for your profile photo. So this will make sure you get a graphic designer to make you something nice, but that it will fit nicely in that section. All right, thank you. Here's Jack.
Great, thank you, Blake. Appreciate you going through that. I'm surprised as I travel and visit with doctors all across the country and how many practices are lacking one or more of these 6 points, even though they think their page is really buttoned down. So take a few minutes and when this webinar is over and go through those 6 items. Make sure they're really buttoned down. All right, let's move ahead with the 3 ways successful practices use Facebook to attract new patients. We spy on and monitor and stalk thousands of practices every single week. We have a team, a content team here at My Social Practice that their #1 job is to spend all day looking at Facebook posts and engagement in the dental community. And what posts are working, why they're working, what they're working for, what they're doing, what the effects are. And so we look at tens of thousands of posts all the time. And we've really, they've kind of distilled down into what we believe are kind of these 3 ways that we see the most success right now with Facebook. Let me go to the first one. The first one is participate and have your patients post. Let me talk about that in 2 different parts. First, the word participate. For many, many years now, the one thing that I've probably said the most as I speak and visit with practices, and in fact, if you don't remember anything else from this webinar, I want you to remember this one statement. Effective social media marketing in a dental practice does not start online. It does not start on the internet. Now that may feel really counterintuitive because Facebook is on the internet, right? Effective social media marketing starts inside the practice, and then it spreads online. If you're doing the things right inside your practice and you're participating, the online part of Facebook takes care of itself, and I want to show you a few examples of that. The second part I want to talk about is having your patients help you market. So in order to kind of get this kind of participation inside practices, we develop what we call campaigns for our clients, where we send them different campaign materials that they can use inside their practice to engage with their patients and team members. So recently, one of those campaigns was our Floss Like a Boss campaign. And you can see that the purpose of the campaign is to get patients involved inside the practice. So there were a number of things that we help practices do, which one of them was to take a 30-day challenge to floss for 30 days, and then to take a photo and to share that photo. There were also other kinds of contests that we did and other kinds of fun things to help the practices inside their practice to engage. And then those things naturally get shared online. So the online part of this takes care of itself if you're participating inside the practice. A more recent campaign a couple of months ago was our Snap a Selfie campaign. And let me show you how practices have empowered their patients to help them market on Facebook. So when we sent these materials out, here's an example of one of our clients, Tulsa Braces. When they received their materials to do the campaign, they had a choice to make each time they wanted to engage with one of their patients. And that choice was, should we take a photo, meaning Tulsa Braces, should we take a photo with our camera device, our phone or iPad or whatever, and post it to our page, or should we have our patient take a photo with their camera device or their smartphone and post it to their page? And each time they got ready to engage with a patient during this selfie campaign, they asked themselves that question. We train and we highly recommend that you have the patient take the photo and have the patient post the photo to their social media account, to their Facebook page. So in this case, Diana Knox was a patient who was visiting Tulsa Braces with her daughter, Tiffany. Diana took a photo of her daughter, Tiffany, with the little materials that we sent out for the selfie campaign, and posted it to her Facebook page. She said, "Tiff got her braces today. Isn't she beautiful? Tulsa Braces is awesome," and posted that on her own Facebook page. Now, think about it. Why on earth would the practice ask the patient to take the photo and to post it to her page? And I think you probably know the answer. When you look at the engagement that a post like this gets, it's phenomenal. It's much, much better. Typically, it's much, much better than the practice will do in posting the same photo. Why? Because of all the friends of Diana and her family that are their personal friends on Facebook. All these people know Tiffany, and they're excited that she's getting her braces put on. So you see 60 likes, 11 comments, and a share. So the engagement is really great when this takes place. And you don't pay for that engagement. It's all viral engagement that takes place among friends in this trusted network we call Facebook. Now, of course, what's the practice going to want to do after that's posted? They want to share it. So now the practice can just simply share Diana's post to their page. Another neat thing about this is there's no HIPAA compliance issues with this kind of a process, because Diana was the one that published the photo, not Tulsa Braces. So Tulsa Braces simply shares that photo to their page. It's a great way to have your patients help you, because they're the ones that really are your core audience. You know, social media marketing, for the most part, is internal marketing. You're marketing, for the most part, to your patients, and then having your patients help you market to the world. The same thing happened with Tulsa Braces when they shared Noel Gonzalez's post. Same kind of a deal. One more example. Donna Milliken came in with her son, who just got his braces off, and she posted a photo to her page. Let me show you one last example to illustrate another really important point. So in this case, one of their patients, Sean Williams, also did a selfie photo and posted it to his Facebook page. Now you'll notice up there at the top, there's something that's really important to remember. Be sure that your team members all understand to help patients know to tag the practice when they post it to their own page. It's really easy to do, and if you have done the things that Blake mentioned a few minutes ago, making sure that your address and everything is correct, it's very, very easy for the patient to be able to tag your practice. And you can see what happens when they tag your practice. When you've got that great link that's available to all 158 people who are Sean's friends who liked this post, 27 people that commented on it, this link to your dental practice is right there. So if they're interested in braces or they're interested in finding a new dentist, you're right there to all these people that mean something to Sean. The other important thing to remember in this case is, you may not notice it, but have noticed before, but on your Facebook page over on the left-hand side, there's this little thing called visitor posts. So when Sean posted to his personal page and tagged your practice, that shows up under visitor posts. Now, how do you know that that happened? Well, you know because you did what Blake said a few minutes ago. You went in and made sure your notifications were turned on. And that way, anything that happens where your practice is tagged or whatever, you're going to get a notification and say, oh, hey, you didn't know it, but Sean just tagged your practice in a personal post. And then you know to go and share it and to thank Sean. These are really important things to keep in mind when you're having your patients help you. Let me read you real quick. This is from Carly Morissette, who is at Tulsa Braces. She's the point person that our company works with at Tulsa Braces. I need to read this to you. I know it's a little bit of a long quote, but it's really important because it has a really great idea at the end that I think some of you are going to really like. We just wrapped up our Snap a Selfie campaign, a huge hit. When our patients check into our practice and take a photo with our staff, it lets their Facebook friends know where they are, who they trust, who we are, and they can easily get our practice information so they can call and schedule a consultation. To encourage our staff, now here's where the kind of cool idea is, so pay attention to this. To encourage our staff to get selfies, we created an in-house or an in-office contest. Whichever staff member got the most selfies that week won the same gift card as the patient. It created a friendly competition with our staff, and it made it easy for them to ask, hey, do you want to help me win a gift card? You'll be entered to win one too. We'll definitely do another Snap a Selfie campaign. This was really a great success for this practice and many, many other practices that we work with. Just this little idea of having the materials, participating, letting your patients do the marketing for you, which I hope you're letting that principle kind of sink into your head. Because of all the things we're going to talk about today, that's probably one of the most important. You know, the days of thinking, the old days, oh, if I post something to my Facebook page, somehow that's going to magically bring in a new patient. It just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. You've got to empower other people to help you. That's how social media works. It's by empowering other people to help tell your practice story. All right, so that's number one. Participate in the practice and have your patients help you. Number two, when you post, okay, we're going to talk about when your practice, when you're posting stuff, post great stuff. Don't post dumb stuff, right? So what does that mean? Let me show you a couple of examples, and then I'm going to give you a little link to a whole bunch of other examples because we don't have time to talk about them, all of them today. We have found in looking at all of these posts and what works and what doesn't work, they kind of fall into four categories. A great Facebook post for dental practice typically falls into one or more of these four categories. The first one I've called share-worthy and creative content. Think about that term a lot. Let that term incubate in your head, the term share-worthy. What does that mean? That's something that you would be worthy, that would be worthy of you sharing, that you would share. So before you post something, think, you know, is this neat enough, creative enough, fun enough, cool enough that I would share it on my Facebook page? And the answer should usually be, yeah, it is. It's share-worthy content. Now, many, many times, photographs of patients holding our social signs is a great share-worthy post. But it's not the only kind of post that's share-worthy. There's a little bit, I hear often out there this idea that's really the only kind of content that's really share-worthy, are photographs of patients. Well, that's a little bit true. It's certainly one powerful way, but certainly is an incomplete strategy for Facebook posting. But it is an important one and a very effective one. Let me tell you about a couple other ideas real quick. So just posting a graphic or a quote sometimes isn't very exciting or creative or share-worthy. But here's an idea that we sent out to a bunch of our clients recently, just I think it was just a few days ago. And many of our clients posted this idea. And the idea was that it was, you would make someone's day. And so this is one of our clients, Slave Lake Dental, who wrote, and in their post with this graphic, win a $25 gift card. It's World Compliment Day on March 1st. Tag a friend on this post and tell them something you like about them to enter your name in the contest. And then they said when the contest would close. So look at what's circled there. So they've posted an interesting graphic, but not just a graphic, but they've actually created a way for people to respond and to help them market. The key is that they've said tag a friend in this post and be entered to win. So if you look down there at the first person, Denise, she tagged Warren Shaw. And then to look at Ashley, who tagged Michelle Morrison. Okay, what is that doing? I think about that. Mechanically, what is that doing in Facebook? Well, it's doing what we have been talking about. It's allowing your patients to communicate something about your practice to other people. Now, this is not related to dentistry. I understand that. but look at what it's doing in terms of top-of-mind awareness in the Facebook community, and it's not paid advertising. It's not a paid post or boosted post or a paid ad, but it's the opportunity to boost your content to a lot more people on Facebook. We don't have time to go through a lot of more ideas, but I did wanted to give you this little URL, mysocialpractice.com/free. We have a lot of really great ideas there that you can download, and they're all free, including this little ebook that we just published, 10 dental practice posts that rocked. So here's 10 more ideas. I just showed you 2 ideas, but here's 10 more ideas I'd encourage you to go take a look at. If you just, they have a saying at the Crown Council, which I love, which is copy genius. And we're big believers in showing you the very best of what our clients are doing so that you too can copy genius. So here's a great place to go look for what we call share-worthy creative content. All right, number 2. So I'm talking about the 4 kinds of great content. Number 2 is content that provides real value. I want to show you a quick example. We helped one of our practices write a blog post about making dental care easier for children with autism. After we helped them get that published on their blog, they shared that post on their Facebook page. When they initially shared that on their Facebook page, you can see that they ended up with 25 people who liked the post, but more importantly, 15 people, and these are likely patients, who shared that post on their own pages. When you get into the back end of Facebook, as you probably know, those of you that use Facebook a lot, you have access to a lot of analytics. And when you kind of go back and look at who's sharing things and you kind of click through and see who likes things that are already being shared, it's really interesting to look at kind of the way things virally spread on Facebook. So we went in and looked at Dana Collins is a patient who shared this post about autism, and then 5 of her friends liked the post on her page. And all of this kind of interaction is really an interesting way visually here to show you how word spreads. The reason word spread well in this particular case, I believe, is because the content had value. When you talk about something that you're making dental care easier for children with autism, lots of people have children with autism or have friends or family members or neighbors or coworkers who have children who have autism. So this is the kind of content that really has great value. And another cool thing is that you're integrating your website or blog with your Facebook page in a very real way. So when we looked at the analytics on this particular post on Facebook, the Facebook reach was over 3,300 people just from this one post because of the way it was shared inside of Facebook. The other great thing about this is that Google notices today what are called social signals. In other words, Google is very interested in social media because it's real data. When people click on things or write comments or share things, this is real data that Google analyzes to try to determine the relevance of web pages. So if all this activity generates some clicks back to this website or blog, Google picks up on those social signals, which really helps the practice in their search engine optimization. So it has other benefits besides just the opportunity to generate interest and new patients on Facebook, but also can help generate more visits to your website, which generates more calls and more appointments and so forth. All right, so the 4 things: share worthy content, provide real value. Number 3, content that shares your practice culture, passions, and relationships. Let me show you a quick example. So here's a practice that did a free dental day. This is one of our clients up in the Seattle area. I had a chance to visit them just a few weeks ago. Great practice. And they posted this really fun photo of their team members. And it got me thinking, you know, the average person on Facebook, I think the statistic is around 253 people, is the average number of people that, friends that people have on Facebook. At this particular practice, they have 26 people that work in the practice. If you times that by the average number of people on Facebook, that represents over 6,500 people that are connected through Facebook in some way to the people that actually work inside this practice, the team members. I don't think enough practices often think about the power of these team members. I mean, here is a group of people that live in your community that know 6,500 people, roughly, in this case, that live in that area. Now, statistically, only about 54% of people's friends on Facebook live in the same geographic area. So, for example, I live in Utah. I have friends that live in California. I have friends that live in New York. These are my friends on Facebook, and they're not good candidates for my local dentist. But statistically, 54% of my friends do live in the geographic area where I live. So if you take that and apply it to this idea, 6,500 people are connected to your team members. Let's say if 50% of them, or whatever, 3,200 or whatever, are really a great core audience for your practice message. They already know someone who works in the practice, and they're connected in some way. So here's a couple of ideas to help you leverage that audience. I think a lot of times practices they really don't leverage their team members very much to help them market their practice. So what do you notice in this particular photo? I'll give you 1 second to look at it a little closer. Okay, time's up. Here's what you should have noticed. There are no faces tagged. There's no team members tagged in this post. Now, this could be because a lot of practices don't know that they can do that. In fact, Facebook, for the most part, does not allow businesses to tag people in photos like this. But there are a few exceptions. In this case, if the administrator to the Facebook page, in other words, the person inside the practice that administers this practice's page, if that person is personal friends with the team members, then that person can tag those team members in this post. Does that make sense? So if you have to be personal friends on Facebook in order to be able to tag them. So you're already friends, right? You work together all day. I hope you're great friends. Just make sure that you're great friends on Facebook. Here's an example of one of our other clients, Dr. Heron out in Kansas. You can see they had a little barbecue outside the practice one day. And look at all those little blue names. Those are tagged team members because they're all friends on Facebook, personal friends. So the administrator could tag those names on Facebook. And as you know, when you tag people in posts, they do much, much better in terms of getting better reach and more engagement with more people who live in the community who are potential new patients. You can see in this case they got a lot of likes because people know them. People know Andrea and Christy and Rihanna and Jamie and Rob and Carlisa and so forth. So make sure you're tagging your team members in your posts. While we're talking about team members, let me give you one more little idea. You know that when you go and like a page, there's the little like button, right? But did you also know that if you hover over the like button, there's a little option there called Get Notifications. Practices that do really well on Facebook ask all their team members to opt in to getting notifications. To opt into that, you not only like the page, but you're sent a little message every time the page posts something. I'm really surprised sometimes when I go into a practice and there's 20 people that work there, and half of them don't even practice has a Facebook page. And the other half know they have a page, but have never looked at any of the content that they post. Well, it's a huge missed opportunity to reach people who are probably the very best potential new patients in your community because they're already tied tightly to somebody that works inside the practice. So, of course, you never want to force anybody. You don't want to force your team members to opt into getting notifications, but ask them if they would, and ask when you post something and they're notified, like in this case, this is someone who works inside the practice who gets the notification when the Smile Spot posts something, and ask them to like it or comment on it or share it. And they don't have to do it every single time. really, really helps. And it's much more leverage of your team than most practices are doing. Now the fourth point about great content. Great content often promotes dentistry, but it always does it from the patient's perspective. It's okay to talk about dentistry on Facebook. You don't want to talk about it all the time, and you don't want to hard sell it, but you're a dentist, right? And you should be talking about the things you're passionate about, and one of those things is absolutely what you do for a living, and it's dentistry. Let me show you a couple of examples. When this client of ours, Dr. Vickery, out in Nashville, put in a new CEREC one-appointment crown system, he had the wherewithal to post something to Facebook and talked about this technology and saying how they stay technologically advanced. And then it's interesting when you start to look at the comments a little bit here, you know, people chime in. Like when patients see this, they say, best dentist ever. In fact, Kim there remembered that she needed to make an appointment for her kids for a couple of cleanings. So this is just, again, talking about technology and talking about dentistry, but talking about it in the context of patient benefit. So you talk about what is great about CEREC. Well, it's that you only have to take half a day off of work instead of 3 days off of work, or whatever the benefits are. You talk about it in terms of patient benefit first. Here's another example. One of our practices posted this little graphic. How do you feel in the dentist chair? Pick a number and please be honest. Number 1, calm, slightly worried, mildly anxious, very anxious, or freaked out. Have you ever noticed on your Facebook page, if you ask people a question, they like to answer. Like people who use social media and people on Facebook, they love to answer questions, especially if it's about who? About them, right? About everyone's favorite person, me, 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 me. So ask them questions and they'll respond. In this case, these patients chimed in. Oh, I probably am a 1 when a regular cleaning, but I don't know, I'm kind of a 3 or a 4 if I have to get a filling. I get a little more anxious. If you scroll down through here, the doctor was kind of used this as an opportunity to talk about a product that she uses in her practice, which is called NuCalm. And she said, chimed in after many people made the comments, she chimed in, the people for the comments, and then said, if you ever feel anything beyond number 1 in our dental chair, make sure to ask us about NuCalm, an all-natural way to calm you down. It's really amazing. Read about it on our blog. She's got a link there to her blog post and talks about a service that she provides that's dental related, that's tied to the idea that she posted on Facebook, which is about anxiety. And then it's interesting when you scroll down here, one of her patients says, I've never heard of NuCalm. I'll ask you about it in my next appointment. To which the doctor responds, sounds good. I'll put a reminder on the schedule to visit with you about it. So these kinds of conversations take place, which leads to more business and to new patients and to more engagement with potential new patients if you try to tie the things that you're posting to the dental services that you do. Here's one more example. This particular practice, one of our clients, Brenner Dental Care, posted, again, another post about CEREC technology and talked about it in terms of patient benefit. They say no more temporaries, less waste, you only have to take a half day off of work. Chime in if you have had one of these crowns and what do you think about it. So one of their patients chimes in and says, I love these, I've had several, it only takes a couple of hours, no extra visits. And then if you kind of scroll down a little further into this conversation that starts, you notice that another potential patient, and I'm guessing it's a potential patient and not a current patient, this Simone Hamlin, because she asks, where are you located? I already have a temporary, I need a crown, and she starts asking about insurance, to which the practice responds. So it's okay to talk about dentistry. Try to talk about it, though, from the patient's point of view, and then see if you can spark conversations that lead to new patient visits. So not every post, when we talk about great content, not every post has all 4 of these things. That would be pretty impossible to do. But most great content has 1 or more of these 4 characteristics. Okay, so we've talked about number one, participate and let your patients help. Number two, when you post great content. Let's talk about number three. Have you ever heard that old saying, if you want to dance, you got to pay the fiddler? If you want to dance, if you want to go to the Facebook dance, my friends, you got to pay the fiddler. Who's the fiddler? Yes, your friend and mine, Mark. You know, Mark spent a decade building a network of whatever, a billion plus, 1.7 billion or whatever it is right now. He spent a lot of time building that audience. And I'm always surprised when some practices say, well, I never had to pay for Facebook before, I'm not paying for it now. Well, come on, take the blinders off and look at the value of this kind of a platform. It's simply amazing, and it's one of the best buys around. As you know, there were some changes made about a year and a half ago, and Facebook has moved very much really to a pay-to-play model. In other words, you don't get free access to even your fans like you used to. You can do all you can to try to get viral traction, but in some cases, in many cases, you've got to really now pay to play is the best way to think of it. There's two ways to spend money on Facebook. The first is what is called boosting posts, and the second is running ads. Let me talk about each of those for just a minute. Let's talk first about boosting posts. Here's an example. One of our clients, Contemporary Dentistry of Virginia, we sent out an idea back in November when the new James Bond movie came out, and gave them a graphic and said, ask your patients who their favorite Bond is. Of all the Bonds, which one's their favorite? Remember what I told you about asking questions? People actually like to answer questions. In this case, they got some great feedback, but they also spent a couple of dollars. They actually spent $3 and boosted that post. Now, prior to these changes in Facebook's algorithm, typically you could get, you could reach like 20 to 40% of your fans without spending any money, just by posting. So if you had 100 fans on Facebook, 20 to 40 of them would see your content every time you posted. But that's more like 1 or 2% now, unless you boost the post. But if you spend even a tiny bit of money, like $3, we have found that you're able to pretty much boost that back up to those former levels of that maybe 20 to 40%. I'm not going to go through all these case studies. I'm just going to show you a few. But we're constantly experimenting with what kind of posts should you be boosting, how much should you be spending. Here's a couple examples where just spending $3 kind of doubles the reach. In many cases, in this case, 185 were reached before the $3 boost, 709 reached after. The likes went up, the comments went up, the photo clicks went up. So it's a great investment. It's really a good investment to just boost the post. Now, don't boost every single post. Go back to the 4 great content characteristics I just went through and look at that and say, you know what? This post has 1 or more of these characteristics. It's probably good content, and it's worth posting. It's worth spending $3, $5, $10, whatever you decide. Our recommendation to most practices is that they start to budget a couple $100 a month to make sure that they're really reaching their fans on Facebook. You can't get new patients from Facebook if nobody sees your posts, especially the people that already love you, because they're the ones that are going to share that content, which is going to lead to more calls and more appointments and more new patients. But if they don't see your stuff, then it makes it really hard for them to share your stuff. So we won't go into detail anymore about boosting. Just know that it's important. You're welcome to send us, we'll give you an email address at the end. If you have specific questions about boosting posts, we'd love to talk more about it and help you. But just know that you need to start budgeting some money for boosting. Once in a while, you may want to spend a little bit more money. This is one of our clients. Again, I think Blake showed a page of Dr. Hammond earlier. He produced a really great video, and he wanted to get some traction on this, and so he decided to actually spend a little bit more money on boosting, and decided he wanted to spend $250 over the course of, I don't know how long it was, maybe a few weeks, and see if he can't get more views on this great little video that he did. And it did really well. He got, the paid reach was nearly 23,000 with 12,000 actions. And you know, if you look at $250 spent this way, I mean, back in the old days, you'd spend, what, 3 times that on a lousy Yellow Pages ad or whatever? I mean, the reach, if you look at it in advertising terms, is really a great value. And Dr. Hammond actually said we got huge reach with our boost on this video. I've had several people mention they saw it on the video on Facebook, and we have received a number of referrals from it. So once in a while, if you're doing an event or you're releasing something, you know, bump up that budget. It's absolutely worth the spend. The second way is running ads. Let me talk about that for just 1 or 2 minutes. I'm going to say something that some of you are going to disagree with. And I know there are a lot of marketing folks, dental marketing folks, that signed up for this webinar, and they may disagree with me too. Here's my stance on this, and I think all of my partners and everyone here at My Social Practice would agree with this. For the most part, for the vast majority of dental practices, our recommendation is that you boost good content and you don't run ads. Now, we have clients that have done very, very well with ads. We have clients that have not done well with ads. It seems to be a function of lots and lots of things. You know, advertising is a complicated business. Like, I don't fill my own teeth, right? I don't do my own veneers because it's a complicated business. I go to an expert. I go to a dentist to take care of that. My feeling is when you cross over from boosting posts to running ads, there's a certain level of expertise that you kind of have to have. There's some A/B testing that needs to be done to make sure the ads are right. Facebook has a lot of rules about ads. You don't just casually stroll in and start running an effective Facebook ad campaign. I think that those practices that have the bandwidth or the expertise, or they have an agency on board that helps them and they've got some decent budgets, Facebook ads are probably a good thing to try. But for the vast majority of practices, right now, I think the better thing to do is to put some budget into boosting good content. I think it's more effective right now. And I know some of you will disagree, and I agree. You can agree to disagree. And sometimes, like I said, I see some great things happening with ads. There's some neat things that you can do. You can actually work with your web developer to drop a pixel on a landing page on your website that will track and monitor how the ads are doing. It's a very complex and very sophisticated and actually a really cool platform, Facebook ads are. But it's not something you just casually stroll into. So that's kind of my take, our take on that. Let me tell you one last idea and then we wrap up. We've had a lot of success with a lot of our clients on actually end running Facebook's PayGate. And let me show you how that would work. So Facebook has set up this little pay door between you and your patients. We're training a lot of our clients to use email to end run that pay door. Let me show you how that works. We have, so in this case, this practice had someone that was retiring. Lynette was retiring. We had this practice create an email to go out to their email base, to their patient base through email. But before they published this, and again, it doesn't matter how you send email out, if it's through MailChimp or Constant Contact or whatever, our product, MSP Publisher, does it. But however you do it, you create the email first. But before you send that email, take that content and create a page on Facebook. The neat thing about Facebook is that every single time you create some content there or upload stuff, it creates a unique URL, as you can see right there. That is a unique URL to this post. Once you have that unique URL, you can copy that and you have a direct link to that page from anywhere on the internet. So what we have patients do is copy that link, then before they send the email out, they hot link that URL to a clickable place in the email. So now you send this email out, patients open it, they go, oh, I know Lynette, I love Lynette. Oh, she's retiring, I'd love to wish her well. What do? They click on that, it says click here to wish her well, and where do they go? They go right to the content inside Facebook, which takes them completely around that PayGate. The cool thing about that is once you're around the PayGate, then Facebook doesn't alter the algorithm against your business to try to make money. So the relationships and the preferences and the profiles that take place inside the personal part of Facebook take over, which really helps on the viral reach of that kind of content. So it's an idea that's worked really well for a lot of our clients, and I think it'll work well for you. So in conclusion, the three ways we find successful practices are doing well with Facebook: they're participating and they're letting their patients help them market. So important. Number two, they're posting great content, and they understand what great content is. And number three, they're paying to go to the dance. and it's really helping them to get back to the kind of reach that really leads to new patient acquisition. I've got our email address there. We don't have time to take questions today, but we will happily answer every question that you have if you just send it to info@mysocialpractice.com, and we look forward to your questions and comments and feedback. I am going to turn the time back over to Steve. Are you there, Steve?
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, great content today. Thanks for sharing those 3 ways to get new patients through Facebook. I promised at the beginning of this webinar a discount code, which I'm going to give everybody, that has to do with the Digital Dental Marketing Conference. And there is the website there, dentalmarketingconference.com. The promo code is webinar15. And when you register for the Digital Dental Marketing Conference before March 31st, you get a special rate of $200 off. And in addition, on April 1st, we will select 2 registrants who have already registered for the conference, and we will be giving them free tuition for them and a guest to attend. So this is just a piece of the whole bigger digital marketing equation that we've talked about. Social media is certainly a big part of it, as well as all the other aspects that we'll cover with some of the leaders in the industry that will share the latest and what's working in dental marketing. So look forward to seeing you on April 29th and 30th in Dallas, Texas. You can go to dentalmarketingconference.com and register today. Make sure you use the promo code webinar15 for $200 off, and we'll be giving away free seats on April 1st for those who have already registered by the end of the month. Thanks again, Jack, for sharing your great wisdom, and thanks for all those who attended today. We look forward to seeing you the end of April in Dallas for the Digital Dental Marketing Conference.